Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here on Sheffield Line 93.2 FM. Chris Zanelli here, and we have Oscar winning short film director Chris Overton. Good afternoon.
Hello, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
You have a company called Slick Films. So, tell us a little bit about Slick Films.
Yeah, Slick Films is something I started when I was about 19 years old. I'd always made films from like a young boy. I made this film about bullying when I was 13 years old, and I kind of shot it, edited it, packaged it up by making DVD cases, and went around knocking on doors and told people this was a film about bullying, and they had to buy it. And I sold all the DVDs out, and that was like a that was my introduction to film, and my love affair with movies has continued. And so yeah, started Slick Films when I was 19. Started to take it a little bit more seriously, and we started doing actor show reels, and then we decided to do short films, and that's when I met my partner Rachel Shenton, and she had this idea for a film called The Silent Child, and that yeah went on to win the Oscar for best live action short film a few years ago now. And that kind of yeah that was the start of our introduction to short film, and since then we've been helping other people make theirs, and continuing to do our own work. So yeah, we tend to do films that shine a light on important issues.
Mm. And I've got to ask Chris. You said you started watching making films when you were young, but was there a certain film that you thought I would love to do this? What inspired you to make films?
I think actually what inspired me to make films was editing. Seeing how you could film something and then kind of change the footage to make a certain person, make the audience feel differently about a certain person. But I remember it was we were my friends. I came home for the weekend, and I was away at drama school. I came home for the weekend, and they had a video camera, and they were filming their own version of Big Brother with a diary room. And I just thought, wow, this is amazing. And then to get the footage and then edit it, that was the best bit for me. And that's kind of like how it started, because I told a bit of a porky to my mom and said we had to have a video camera for
Mm.
school. And she said, "Well, we can't afford that." I said, sorry, we've got to have it. It's my birthday coming up soon." I got a video camera. That's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, really. Gave my mum a bit of peace and quiet too.
So as a filmmaker, who influenced you? And also, if there's anybody that you could work with in the near future, who would it be and why?
That's a great question. I mean, there's a few movies that really influenced me. Oliver Twist, actually, the musical version was just, a really big inspiration. That kind of, I remember watching that in my living room with my parents, and that kind of inspired me to get into acting as well, really. So I was an actor. I still, if I'm asked to do it, I might do the odd thing, but not so much anymore. But like quite obvious answers, really. Like Steven Spielberg films like E.T. Um, I love that. I love that film. I loved anything that he made. Jurassic Park, all those big Hollywood classics. Um, they that kind of inspired me, really. Um, I guess I just didn't really know what a director did until I started to do it myself, though.
If there's any film that you would love to work on, like a big budget film, what kind of film would you like to make?
I like true stories. So, and Rachel's exactly the same. We're very lucky that we have the same taste. So I think, like the type of film that I would like to make, like something like Erin Brockovich is with starring Julia Roberts. That's amazing, and I'd love to work with Julia Roberts one day. That's there we go. I've said it now, but she's amazing. Someone I've grown up watching, um, and Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. That was a big influential film. If I could make a film like that, although that isn't, I don't think based on a true story. It's based on a book, but yeah, I think I have more of an American taste than a European taste. I think in the UK we kind of sit in the middle, but I think me and Rachel leaned our stories that we like to tell. We lean towards more of the American taste, I think.
And I mean, you yourself are also an Oscar-winning filmmaker, and you've won an award for live action short film, which is also being written by your wife, Rachel Shenton. So, I mean, tell us a bit about The Silent Child. I mean, don't give it too much away, but what is the plot?
In a nutshell, it's about a profoundly deaf child born to a hearing family, and she can't communicate with them. They don't sign, and they don't really know what to do with her. And then they employ this social worker who teaches this little girl to sign, and she blossoms, and she's really smart. And yeah, I won't say any more than that. But Rachel's dad was deaf, so this was kind of inspired by uh, her dad and someone that she lived with over in America when she was filming a series called Switched at Birth, which stars Marley Matlin. There's lots of sign language in that. Um, but yeah, it raised a lot of awareness for the deaf community and what it's like to be deaf. And I think people were quite shocked at the stats at the end. Um, and the main one says it's not a learning difficulty. A deaf child can do exactly the same as a hearing child if they're given the right support. Um, and yeah, so a lot of deaf children, can find themselves without the right support. Um, and I think that's got a lot better, and the awareness has got a lot better. And there's now a GCSE in sign language, which yeah, we like to think that the Silent Child helped towards that, and that became a bit of a catalyst for that.
I mean, it captures the imagination as well. I mean, when you see a film, I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it matters what kind of film you see. If it captures the imagination of what you're going through, it's quite moving, really.
Yeah, I think if you've got something to say, we believe there's nothing quite like saying it through characters and through story. If you've got a message, and every filmmaker's different, we just happen to like those type of films that are like either true stories or have an important message to say. Other filmmakers, like horror, or they just like pure entertainment or love stories, and we like those as well. And we at Flip Films we have some of those. Um, but yeah, my taste as an exec producer is a little bit more expansive as opposed to when I take on a project that I'm directing.
And I've got to ask this as well, Chris. I mean, how long did it take for the Silent Child to make? Was it quite a long process, or did it come together quite quickly?
I think we had roughly around about a week, a main shoot of a week, and because we had a very young child, it was a little bit slower. Some short films can be done in 2 days,
Yeah, sure.
4 days. But yeah, I think what the thing we found hardest was raising the money. We couldn't get it arrested. We went everywhere to get the finance, and we were asking for £10,000, and we just could not get it. We went to all the big funding bodies, local councils, so we ended up crowdfunding. And I owe everybody on that film. I think for the rest of my life. This team was absolutely amazing. Um, we just there was just this very special moment in time, I think, where it all came together. Um, and that was because of an amazing team, and Maisie Sly, who played the little young deaf girl in our film, and she is profoundly deaf. She was the right age. Everything just fell into place with that film, and I think if we would have done it 6 months later, it might not have gone the way that it did.
Mm. And I mean, you've opened up a competition for £10,000 plus mentorship. I mean, is it open now?
It is open now, indeed. Yeah. It's called the Slick Films Fund. So we're urging Anybody with an idea to, if they haven't got a script already, write a script. It can be under 21 pages. It's specifically for a short film. And I think what we want to do is just kind of put a little bit of hope back into the world of short film. I think, this year's Oscars, the short film category was perhaps a little bit depressing for people to see someone like Wes Anderson win an Oscar. I think it's great for him, but he has been nominated for features like 8 times before. He's a real veteran. And that category, I think, is usually for people that are starting their careers.
Sure.
Myself and Rachel and a lot of the team on The Silent Child, we'd never made a film before, and that's the beauty of the short film Oscar, because it's the one attainable Oscar. And short films can be made for 10 grand, sometimes less, and they can go on to have huge major success and actually change the world.
I mean, just like you say, I mean, I watched a few short films as well, and sometimes short films are better than major productions, and that's what's great about it. But as a director yourself, I mean, what advice would you give to filmmakers?
I think try to find a story that lights a fire within you. If you've got an idea or something's happened to you that's really, really personal and you don't want to share it, it's probably the right thing that you do share it. A lot of the big film directors say, make it so personal that you'd be embarrassed to share it. And I think, that's the right thing. People like Ricky Gervais say, write what you know. And I think they're absolutely right with that. You do have to write what you know, or tell a story, or be involved with something that you can at least connect to in some way. It doesn't have to be directly connected, but there might be something in your life that unearths something within you that can connect to that story.
And I mean, for anybody that wants to enter this competition, can anybody enter, or is it just like filmmakers in general?
Anybody with a script around the world can enter. The only stipulation is that the film for this year has to be shot in the UK. So it is predominantly this year, in our first year, for European filmmakers. But somebody over the other side of the world can absolutely submit if they have a script that can be shot in the UK.
Mm. And I mean, how long would you say is the perfect time length for a short film? What would you say to that?
It's a really good question. Lots of people have a different answer to this, but there's a really good statistic on Stephen Follows. Stephen Follows is an amazing um, industry professional that does a lot of analytics about film, and he did a study with how many films get into festivals based on their length, and after the 15-minute mark, the scale drops really dramatically. So I would say, if you can get, it's about a page per minute, so if you can get a script 15 pages and under, I think you're onto a winner. Me personally, I like scripts between 15 and 20 minutes. I think that's the sweet spot, because I think that gives you just enough time to invest in the characters. But yeah, 15 minutes, 16, 17, 18, 19, they seem to be my kind of favorite length, really. And they're easier to program at a film festival.
And I mean, when's the closing date as well for the competition?
So there's a few different deadlines. So the first early bird deadline closes in 1 month's time, so around the 15th of May. And then it's the regular deadline, which closes in the 15th of June. And then the last deadline, I believe, is about 15th of July. Yeah, so there's plenty of time. And there's also a separate competition for first-time filmmakers. So if you've never made a film before, you've got an idea, I'd urge you to write a script and submit to that.
And I'm going to ask, I mean, if picked, whatever short film is being picked, what happens next? Do we go through to like, is there like certain rounds that the short filmmakers go through?
Yes, it will be different various stages throughout, and there'll be five finalists for the main competition that will pitch live at Bolton Film Festival. So we're very proud to be partnering with Bolton Film Festival. They're a fantastic film festival that champions emerging talent. And five finalists will pitch live to an audience, and then the winner will be announced there and then.
And for anybody who wants more information, do you have like a website? And also, if for people who don't have like digital access, is there any physical information that people can get?
Yes, so there is a website, and it's you can find it very easily on our website, slickfilms.co.uk, and then that will take you to our Slick Films Fund page on the menu bar. If you click on there, you can read all the information about it, and there is a Coverfly link or a Film Freeway link. That's where you have to apply. So you can find those buttons on that web page, and then you can submit via Film Freeway or Coverfly.
And my final question, Chris, is I'd like to give the final word to you. So, what would you like to say to our listeners who is listening right now?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. And if you've got an idea, or if you know someone that wants to tell a story or wants to get into film, tell them about the Slick Films Fund.
Chris, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.